Hello humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. The PlayStation 5 is very, very corporate friendly. That's right, but for us gamers, it's diminishing returns. It really is. It's less games for us, more profits for them, and that's the way it should be in business, right? When you open up a business, what you want to do is you want to sell the most, amount of product possible at the lowest cost possible. Now, the PlayStation 5 has been the most profitable game console for the company, and but for us gamers, it's just diminishing returns. And I was writing some notes here on paper, and thinking about what it means for us. And just think about it: how many remasters have we had? How many re-releases? How many native games to the PlayStation? And when you compare the numbers, it's not even close. It's not even close. The PlayStation 1 had over 4,000 games. Just in comparison, the PlayStation 2, over 4,000. PlayStation 3, even then, when you had a back library that you can, enjoy on the PlayStation 3 because it was fully backwards compatible, they made 2,000 games for that one. Over 2,000 games. And where are we now? Less and less games. And they're making the highest, amounts of profit possible. So I want to break it down, I started thinking, why is that? Well, in the evolution of business, that really is what happens. It doesn't matter what business you're talking about. Over time, you just become more efficient. And, business-wise, it's great, right? If you're running a business and you're able to produce less and make more, well, that's the golden goose right there. But for us gamers, for us that we enjoy this experience, it's not as good because the selection is not as great, because the cost of production have risen so much, and the company has to bear the cost for a lot of these games now, even the ones that they partner up with or what have you. It takes a lot more money to make a video game these days. Sign of the times. But they could make more, right? You don't have to make $300 million games every pop. Wukong was made with $43 million, for example. Pal World, what was it, $22 million or something like that? I mean, it doesn't take that much money to make a good game. But in today's market, where everybody wants to do their own, Marvel Rivals, their own Overwatch, their own Fortnite, their own COD, that really is the trend of the industry. And that's what you see reflected here. But it has become less of an experience for us. The PlayStation brand has been a cornerstone of the gaming industry since the inception of the PlayStation back in, 94? Over the years, Sony's consoles have evolved as far as technology, gotten better, but the libraries keep getting smaller. And this trend has become increasingly clear here now with the PlayStation 5, becoming the most profitable console to date, but has the smallest library. It's a shift that reflects the broader changes in the gaming industry. And it really has to do a lot with digital sales, the decline of physical media. And for you and me, how we experience it, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, there's just less enthusiasm. There's less hype in the market. Because so many things get spoiled because it takes so long to develop a game. I mean, you can't keep a game under wraps for 5 years or 3 years, at the short end of production. And when you think about the golden era of the PlayStation, for me, the golden era of the PlayStation was PlayStation 1 through PlayStation 3, at the early days of the PlayStation. And if you remember those days, guys, there were days of excitement, innovation. I mean, it really captivated gamers worldwide when the PlayStation 1 came out and started introducing people to 3D. I mean, remember when Final Fantasy came out, Metal Gear Solid, titles like Crash and what have you. I mean, that, like I said, that library was over 4,000 games, many of them groundbreaking. Many of them, the retro games that we enjoy collecting today. But this variety that we had allowed us to explore different genres, become fans of different types of games, whether they're RPGs, platformers, first-person shooters. And it was just a better market for the consumer because you had a lot more choice. And, back then you had more consoles too, trying to fight for your business. You had the Segas out there and what have you. Now, during the PlayStation 2, released in 2000, they built on that success. That library was around 4,000, I think 3,800, what have you. I'll put a link down below to my Substack so you guys can go check it out if you want to look at the details and where I got these numbers from. But I mean, they're generally what's out there in the public sphere, right? The PlayStation 2 became the greatest selling console of all time, and a lot of it has to do with the diversity of the catalog, and also that played DVDs back then. But when you think about the games, the Grand Theft Autos, the San Andreas, Shadow of the Colossus, Kingdom Hearts, and others, right? It was like a cultural phenomenon back then. When some games would come out, you'd be out there at GameStop waiting for release, picking up your games at 9, at 12, whatever weird rules they had back then. But it was really hyped, and there wasn't social media back then a lot, so a lot of things you were just excited about. You were reading magazines, and you just had that anticipation. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like these playthroughs that they give, special access to streamers or whatever, where they put 4 hours of the game already. I try to avoid that. I just want to play my games, and I just want to enjoy them. I really miss that about the good old days, as they say. But in general, it's hard to describe something to people that have never experienced it. Even just getting, the physical items and getting collector's edition, all that stuff has been diminished. Now you have, collector's editions without the game. How does that work, right? You get a collector's edition, it contains no game. But guys, during that time period, when you had those midnight releases, those events were social gatherings. There was more of a sense of actual community. Not people say community now and it's just comments or what have you. And I've never been a big fan of that. I'm not into forums. I don't do any of that. I just don't have the time. Even if I had the time, I don't think I'd be doing that. I would actually be playing games. There's so much to play, right? There's so much to play, and you don't want to miss anything. And with these libraries, just go to these libraries from the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 3. 4,000, 2,000. There you go. 10,000 games. You think you're going to get through that? You're not. But the variety started declining really on the PS4 because now you had the rise of digital media. The cost started going up, and you started seeing here when the development costs started coming out for games like God of War, Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, and how these budgets were just getting huge, right? Just huge. It was a trip, it was a trip. And now the PS5, 900 games plus, and you think about that, how many of those are remakes? How many of those are actually PS4 games? It's just a lackluster presentation. It really is, at least in my eyes. I don't know what you guys think, but when I compare it to previous consoles, the excitement just isn't there. And it's not the only one, but I just, it's pointed on this one because they're the market leaders, right? They're the ones making the most amount of money, and that's just the way it is. Good for them. But you want another Demon's Souls remake? It's just, there's not a lot of things to get excited about continuously. Are there good games coming out? Yes, absolutely there are, right? There's some great games coming out. The PlayStation 5 has great games coming out. And, I'm a PlayStation fan. I own all the PlayStations. But it just hasn't been the same. It hasn't been the same as the PS1, PS2, and PS3 eras, specifically. Started declining with the PS4, and now you have the PS5, and there you go. And it's because today, digital sales account for the majority of game purchases. They really do. And that really has taken out a lot of the enthusiasm, along with these higher budgets for these games. They just can't, they can't make games fast enough to satisfy the market. And I don't think there's a lot of bloat, as we're learning how these teams are being put together, how many people are actually just consultants of one type or another. They're not actual programmers, they're not actual writers. And just the entertainment factor, the continuous entertainment factor isn't there. Now it's like having, if I had to put an analogy, it's like right now the PlayStation 5 is like watching TV on air, like we used to have before with an antenna. Well, back in the day when you bought a PlayStation, it was like having cable. You had all kinds of channels, you can do all kinds of things. I mean, you can still, play the older stuff, but it's not the same. It's not the compatibility that you have with the PS3. When they walked away from that, that really was a mistake. They should have had some sort of way to make it backwards compatible so you can enjoy your old games at least. Now you got to buy them again. If you choose to, right? There's some games you do want to buy again, but the remakes are really killing the market and the lack of games. And when I say killing the market, I mean as far as enthusiasm, right? Not the money. They're making money hand over fist. The PlayStation brand has really undergone all kinds of changes since they came out in '94. Now, the PlayStation 5 is the key of the market. They're the most profitable, but they also have been the least productive. The shift really reflects the shift in the game industry and how the industry has changed, and it hasn't changed better for the customer in my eyes, because we get less game experiences. If you want to remake stuff, how many of the games that are in your old libraries that you could be remaking now? The market is just not exciting me like it used to. There's games that I get excited for. I get excited for Kojima games, to play the new Lazarus that's coming out. There's a few other games I'm going to highlight, but just in general, man, we deserve more games. 900 isn't cutting it. It really isn't. All right, humans, I will catch you on the next one. Take care.
New videos every Monday and Sunday. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Gen X Gamer. Remember to like and subscribe, click that notification bell, and remember, never ever be afraid to be happy. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.